With the budget discussions for the District Attorney General, thank you for being here. I'm going to let you introduce who you brought with you in just a second, but I want to give a quick shout out. We have a couple of council members here. We have Councilmember Bill Pridemore, who is in charge of the Metro Council budget process, and we also have Councilman Russ Pulley. I'm going to turn this over to Talia. She's going to give me a few stats on you, and then she's going to throw it to you. So thank you again for being here.
Great, thank you.
Good morning. The District Attorney's Office prosecutes criminal offenses for violations of state criminal laws that occur in Davidson County. They have a current Metro budget of $6 million, grants of $198,000, and other funding of $2 million. They currently are budgeted for 95.8 FTEs. They have a budget request for FY17 of $372,500. General Funk.
Okay, great. Glad to be here. Thank you all for hosting this. Wanted to primarily talk about two main points. When I ran for district attorney back in 2014, the major planks of my platform were that we were going to have a renewed commitment to domestic violence, that we were going to focus the efforts of our office and our resources on personal crimes and especially violent crimes, crimes against vulnerable victims, such as children. We have done that to a substantial part. We now have 10 assistant district attorneys working prosecuting domestic violence crimes. We have increased the number of people doing crimes against children, whether that's physical abuse or sexual abuse, from 3 to 5. Though one of those 5 is a supervisor who's kind of in charge of all of family protection, and she supervises domestic violence and violence against children. What we are asking for as far as an increase in our budget primarily goes in two different directions. One is about, and the most important, is about people. Ever since at least 1978, Metro has funded some of our district attorney positions and some of our staff positions. We currently have 25 assistant district attorneys who are paid, their salaries are paid by Metro. It was actually approved for 27 district attorneys to be paid for by Metro.
Who pays for the rest of it?
The state of Tennessee.
So the state does, okay.
The state of Tennessee pays for roughly 40 assistant DAs, and Metro pays for 25. It was approved for 27. The problem is that under the state pay scale, there are step raises. You come in at one salary, and there are step raises that go up for the first 25 years that you're an assistant district attorney. When Metro started paying for assistant district attorneys, they approved in the budget, a number which is now up to 27, but they never funded a step increase that matched the state. Metro district attorneys don't have any step increases.
So how is that impacting your ability to retain and recruit?
Well, what happens is that my predecessor made the right choice, in my opinion, and cannibalized 2 of those positions to continue to pay so that the Metro assistant DAs get paid the same as their state counterparts. And so they get the same amount, but we had to essentially lose those 2 positions. And we've also lost two support positions, a legal secretary and a records room person. And so we are now down 4 positions just based on trying to make sure that our Metro employees get paid the same as our state employees.
Will the pay plan impact this?
No, it's not included.
It's not included. Okay.
It's not included.
Okay.
Several years ago, Mayor Dean was ready to say, yes, we need to do something to correct this and get these positions funded, but then put it on the back burner while the pay plan was studied, indicated that when the study was complete that this would be corrected. So that's why I'm really trying to push to see if we can't get this fixed at this point. $247,500 would allow us to hire 2 entry-level district attorneys, as well as a support staff, a person for the records room, as well as a secretary.
So give you those 4 positions.
Give us those 4 positions.
So of those 95 FTEs that you currently are showing as part of your budget, are 4 of those in there, they're just not funded, or would this be 4 additional FTEs?
They would be what? They're in there.
They're in there, they're just not funded.
That's right.
Tell me a minute about the correlation of what I'd have to do on the PD side. If I add to you on this,
Anytime that a local government gives to the district attorney's office $1, then 75% has to also be given to the public defender's
okay,
office.
so whatever I'm doing here, I've got to also do a 75% match on the other side.
And it's not the same to where if you give them extra money, we don't necessarily by statute have to
Don
give
already
them
told me
extra
that.
money.
I think it's kind of the aggregate, so it's sort of in the total amount.
It's in the, but right, but that, so, and because these are dollars that we would be giving you to fund positions that already exist, it would fall under that category.
Right.
Because it's about the dollar, not the position.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And what I would do with these positions is we've got the domestic violence section of our office working and providing some tremendous service right now. The child abuse, when I took office, had 3 attorneys in it. We now have 5, but one of those is supervisor. What I would like to do is end up taking these 2 positions and using these positions to be able to put 2 extra people into the child abuse section so that we have 6 criminal courts, and what I'd like to have is 1 person assigned to each court so that it would be more efficient and more effective as far as being able to properly protect children on physical and sexual abuse.
Do your attorneys follow the same case all along? I mean, one of the things that...
In child abuse, they do.
They do.
The lawyers that meet at the CIPIT, the Child Protection Intervention Team, meet, they staff initial complaints, and whoever has that at the staffing date then follows it to where the victim and the victim's families don't have to retell the story over and over again and meet and make the same. We're trying to provide the type of service where once you've met somebody and you develop a relationship with that person, then they're going to stay with you through the whole case.
Most of your attorneys follow the court they're in, right?
Most of the attorneys follow the court that they're in. We are doing a lot of vertical prosecution. That's why the numbers that have gone through the grand jury have come down, because by having established a vertical prosecution, we're able to cull out some of the cases that really should be handled in general sessions court. That gives us more time to spend individually on the victim crimes, on the violent crimes once it's gotten to criminal court, because some of the crimes that might be a non-victim crime might be a situation where there's a health issue like a drug abuse issue or a mental health issue. We can handle those cases in general sessions court now and give us more time to be able to try to focus on the ones where people have been hurt.
So, speaking about some of the cases that you all have had this year, there's been a lot of high-profile cases. How has that impacted your budget?
Well, that goes to the witness transportation costs.
Okay.
Just the Vanderbilt case alone has cost us roughly, about $20,000 in witness transportation costs. This number that's on what we said we needed an increase of $18,300, that's really kind of pass-through money, because while Metro spends it, then the state reimburses at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
So we say that, but that's not really an increase to our budget, but that is an increase to money that we would have and be able to use. But state reimburses us for those witness expenses.
And the relocation of the grand jury meeting space?
The relocation of the grand jury, the grand jury currently meets in a meeting space that's just when you walk into our office, it's actually on the same hallway just to the left. When the contract for space in Washington Square was negotiated 10 to 15 years ago, we had an option on some more space on the 4th floor. That's where we would like to move the grand jury for a couple of different reasons. The number one and biggest reason is because the grand jury is an independent body. It's not an arm of the district attorney's office. In fact, the latest grand jury report talks about how the grand jury foreperson and the grand jury reported that they appreciated that we treated them as an independent body. They suggested that maybe they should move to the courthouse, though that would cause certain logistical problems with witnesses and with the fact that we have to prepare the indictments to send into the grand jury. But this would give the grand jury more independence to be on a separate floor from the main reception of the district attorney's office. They'd have more separate space. We also need the space that the grand jury is currently using to be able to put, portions of some of the new hires that we've made and our new units with regards to the expanded domestic violence unit and the expanded child abuse unit.
So this 30,000, is this a one-off, or is this now going to be rent that you're, is that, it's
That's-
rent?
That would be
Got
an
it.
increase in rent.
What about the cost of relocation?
Yeah.
Space, have you factored that in anywhere? or-
Building out the space would be covered by Washington Square as part of the
I see.
contract that was negotiated 10 to 15 years ago. There will be some cost to the build-out, but I'm not asking
You're not
Metro to
asking for
pay.
that?
We will work within our budget to try to make sure that that is revenue neutral to Metro as we build out office spaces in what is now the grand jury space.
Okay.
So, you know, both of these requests are important to us. They're important, I believe, to the city and to the people of the city. One of the things about the grand jury space is we have not had some of the problems that other parts of the country have had, and I think a large part of that is because, at least dating back to General Shriver in 1966 through the administration of Tory Johnson and then continuing in my administration, we've treated the grand jury as an independent body. District attorneys do not go in and present cases to the grand jury. The witnesses present to the grand jury. If the grand jury has questions, we do our best to answer those questions. But by maintaining an independence in the grand jury, it doesn't look like the prosecutors are trying to put their finger on the scales of justice. And we try to zealously guard their independence and try to respect their judgment. With regards to these staff positions, while it is an increase in our budget, really all we're asking for is to fund the positions that have been approved many years ago, and it will have a significant impact in the way we're able to do our jobs.
And remind me, the significant impact will be for kids?
Those positions will end up being able to allow us to have one district attorney assigned to each of the criminal courts to handle the child physical abuse and child sexual abuse cases.
Ty?
I'm good.
Rich?
Good, thank you.
Great. We
Great.
appreciate it. Thank you so much for
Okay.
being here.
All right.
You need to be Michael.